Hey guys, so this is the Voigtlander 15mm f4.5 Super-Wide Heliar. It's a beautiful lens, as you can see, the multi-coating. It's all metal construction. This particular one was a screw mount, and it has actually the bayonet adapter. That's what you see in all silver at the bottom of the lens there. They came out with a native M mount later on, but they kept the same optics, so they both have just excellent optics. Now, given the super wide angle, the super wide field of view of this lens, it's necessary to use one of these accessory viewfinders. They just fit right on top of your camera in the hot shoes, you can see, and what that does, it gives you the proper field of view. Now, the reason this lens is as tiny as it is because it's a 4.5 maximum aperture. Zeiss made a 15mm f2.8. As you can see, it was huge in comparison to the Voigtlander. So in addition to the tiny lens body that you get from the f4.5 maximum aperture, you also get a lens that's much easier to correct for distortion. That's why this lens is pretty much optically perfect. Yeah, you see it's a nice clear viewfinder. And it just gives you that ultra wide 15mm perspective. So what's kind of cool about shooting like this with this particular setup here is that when you look through here, there's just nothing blocking your way, right? And what I tend to do, if I see something that I find that might be interesting, I'll start looking through the viewfinder as I approach it. Just kind of start walking like this, and as I get, you'll start to see your picture actually appear. I'll put it in those terms. As you're walking up on your subject, you kind of say, okay, there it is, and let me stop right here, and this is where the picture is. I've been doing that today, and I haven't shot with the lens for a while, so it's kind of cool to kind of remember that. Yeah, you start looking through there as you're walking. Don't do it too much, I'm only talking about a couple of steps. But yeah, once you walk up on something, because there's a shot, I'll take it. All right, so yeah, neat lens. Really like this little viewfinder. It's you just don't really see the type of equipment everywhere. It's an old way of shooting, but it's a really effective way, of taking pictures. And hold on, more historic Occoquan. Occoquan is they really are into the holidays. They really celebrate the holidays a lot. Around Christmas time, this place will be all decked out for for Christmas. All the old houses and everything will be decorated really nicely for Christmas. So it makes it a fun little place to visit. Given that this actually is a town, you see they have to have a post office, and they actually have a police department too. And it's funny because it's a tiny little building with one police car out front. But if you ever come to Occoquan, and it's a beautiful little town. Some of the restaurants, once in a while, the restaurants are really nice. They've got a seafood place and a couple other places. There's a place called the Secret Garden Cafe. They have a phenomenal breakfast and some of the best coffee I've ever had anywhere. It's kind of odd because it's a tiny little restaurant, and it's mostly patio. They have a building obviously, but it's mostly patio, and in the patio is like what they call the secret garden, because you kind of have to walk up through this little narrow passage to get to it, and you can't see it at all from the street. Let's walk around. Let's see what else we can see. Okay guys, so take a look at some of the photos taken here with the Voigtlander 15mm f4.5. This is Ilford HP 400 speed film, by the way. But just look at the vertical lines. I mean, it is just so well corrected. The horizons are nice and flat. Vertical lines especially are a telltale sign of a poorly corrected lens. Like I'm sure you've seen where like telephone poles or street lights will be like in the shape of a bow. But yeah, this lens handles it really well. It's a great lens. Yeah, so this is always fun, kind of do this on camera. Slide the film into this little slot that's got some perforations that form an arrow. See the arrows there? Okay, so just pop the take-up spool in its slot and the film in its slot. I'm now shooting at ISO 100. That's 100 speed color film. All right, so my little handy dandy Gaussian is telling me that when you set the ISO to 100, f4 at 1/125th. The good thing about shooting like this is, you know, you got a nice camera with a nice lens that you don't have to sit there and adjust every time you take a photo. You know, most lenses you do, but this one again is so wide that that you don't have to worry about that. And given that it's a 4.5, I guess we can't go to f4. The meter is reading f4.5 at 1/125th. Just coming up on these beautiful old-timey houses there, and they're, you know, they have nice colors and everything. That Fuji should capture the color of these houses really nicely. So let's take a quick look at some photos taken with one of my all-time favorite films. It's Superia Reala from Fuji. It's a ASA 100 speed portrait film. Fuji aimed it primarily at professionals and enthusiasts. It was originally known as Fuji Reala. It was the first film to incorporate Fuji's fourth layer technology, which helped to counteract a greenish cast under fluorescent lighting. Fuji offered this film in 120 and 135. They discontinued it in 2012 in the 35mm and in 2013 in the 120 format, which is a shame because it's a really nice film. It has great color reproduction. It's really saturated. But hey, who knows? The way these manufacturers are coming back with their old films that they discontinued, fingers crossed that Fuji might do the same thing. I'd love if they would bring back this film. So as I'm driving back, I'm just thinking that this Fuji Superia Reala 100 film, which I really like, it's expired in 2007. If I remember reading somewhere that for every 10 years that it's expired, you add 1 minute to the development time. And C41, the first, and that's just to the developer, not to the other, the Blix or anything. The C41 is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So I guess I'm at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, but I've had this soup for a little while. I've processed a few rolls through it. So I'm probably gonna do just 5 minutes